Let's go Broncos! What if I told you that the Denver Broncos might be hiding the most dangerous Super Bowl contender in the entire NFL, and nobody's talking about it, while the national media continues to doubt, dismiss, and simply ignore what's happening in Denver? Behind the scenes, Sean Payton is building something that could shock the league. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll see the Broncos in a whole new light. But before I give you all the details, if you're a true Broncos fan, if your veins run orange and blue, click the like button right now, and leave a comment saying, "Go Broncos!" My heart bleeds orange and blue, because what comes next could completely change the conversation about the NFL playoff landscape. Now, get ready, because what I'm about to share will surprise you. The Denver Broncos have found themselves sitting at a jaw-dropping 9-2 record, and this team has shown us all that they're not just trying to make the playoffs, they're gunning for a deep run. And it's not just wishful thinking. The data, the energy, the performances, they all scream contender. At the core of this resurgence, an elite defense that's not just carrying the team, they're dominating in a way we haven't seen since 2015. This defense is on pace to break the NFL sack record, and they've done it recently without key players like Payton and Alex Singleton. That's not just depth, that's a nightmare for any offense that lines up against them. Payton and GM George Payton have done their homework. The front office has locked down crucial defensive pieces with team-friendly contracts, creating a stable, star-studded foundation. Payton, Zach Allen, Nick Benito, these aren't just names, they're playmakers. And the scary part? This defense might be the worst it's going to be for a while. That's how much room they still have to grow. Combine that with over $50 million in cap space and zero obligations to Russell Wilson going forward, and suddenly, the Broncos aren't just peaking, they're building a dynasty. Now, while this defense is championship level, the development of Bo Nix at quarterback remains the biggest storyline. He's shown flashes of brilliance, the clutch gene, the deep ball, the swagger, but he's still evolving. His pocket presence gets shaky under pressure, particularly against the blitz. Fortunately, Denver boasts one of the NFL's most solid offensive lines, and that protection has allowed Bo to thrive late in games. If he can translate that fourth quarter magic into full game consistency, especially against top-tier defenses like the Packers, Chiefs, and Jaguars, the Broncos become nearly unbeatable. But it's not all sunshine and sack dances. Penalties continue to plague this squad. Denver has racked up 93 penalties so far and sits among the league's most penalized road teams. It's the kind of thing that can derail a playoff run if not addressed. Sean Payton, Joel Lombardi, and Davis Webb took the bye week to self-scout and clean up the operational issues. If they've truly solved that, there's no team, including the Patriots with their 10-2 record, that can stop them. When you talk about belief, though, nothing epitomizes that more than the comeback win during the Ring of Fame game for Demaryius Thomas. Down by 33 heading into the fourth quarter against the Giants, Bo Nix morphed into a hybrid of Elway, Peyton Manning, and Tom Brady. That wasn't just a win, it was a moment, a symbol of resilience, destiny, and heart. And perhaps it was DT himself watching over Mile High that night. Fast forward to the most recent win against the Chiefs, and what we saw was a complete team performance. Bo Nix delivered from start to finish, the receivers dropped fewer passes, and the defense never let up. That game wasn't just about getting revenge, it was about making a statement. And the message was loud and clear. The Broncos have arrived. And speaking of offensive pieces, losing J.K. Dobbins to another season-ending injury stings. It was a hip-drop tackle against the Raiders that sidelined him, and while Dobbins had proven his fit in Payton's system, his durability remains a concern. Still, there's hope for a return by the Super Bowl, and there's mutual interest in a potential 2-year extension. But in the meantime, it's R.J. Harvey time. He may not be a bruiser between the tackles, but give him space, and his shiftiness and burst make him a nightmare in the open field. His hands have also been a revelation. He's drawing comparisons to Darren Sproles and Alvin Kamara, which makes sense given Payton's offensive background. And how about the trade deadline? Rumors swirled around a potential blockbuster for Jalen Waddle. It never materialized, and while it's tempting to imagine Waddle catching bombs in orange and blue, the price tag was sky high. Instead, Sean Payton doubled down on his belief in the current roster. Some questioned it, but for players like Troy Franklin, it meant the world. It was a vote of confidence from their coach, and Franklin, despite his struggles with drops, has stepped up with elite route running and heart. Now, with a 97% chance of making the playoffs, the question becomes, who do we want in January, and who should we avoid at all costs? The competitive spirit says bring on the best, the Chiefs, the Patriots, even the Colts. But from a tactical standpoint, matchups matter. The Steelers look like the most favorable opponent, with holes all over their defense. The Jaguars, lacking offensive firepower, could also be a dream draw. But there's one team we do not want to see, the Houston Texans. That defense is fast, physical, and capable of matching Denver's energy blow for blow. If there's one trap in the AFC playoff picture, it's them. Because if we're being real, Broncos country, all signs are pointing towards something special brewing in Denver. You don't get to 9-2 on accident. You don't fight back from 33 points down or dominate the Kansas City Chiefs in 4 quarters without having that rare blend of talent, coaching, and belief. This isn't a team that's relying on a fluke run or a few lucky bounces. This is a team that has built something sustainable, gritty, and straight up dangerous. Let's talk about Sean Payton's role in all this. Say what you will about his conservative trade deadline approach or his sometimes hard-headed play calling, but the man has changed the culture. This isn't the same locker room that felt disjointed and leaderless during the Russell Wilson years. Payton has taken control, unified the core, and built around a group of young, hungry players who buy into his vision. That kind of trust, it matters in December. It matters in January. It could be the difference in February. That locker room chemistry is paying dividends, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Bo Nix isn't just improving, he's growing into a leader. You saw it against the Giants, you saw it against the Chiefs, and you'll see it again down the stretch. Despite being second in the NFL in drop passes and operating within one of the most penalized teams in the league, Bo remains calm, poised, and lethal in crunch time. When he hits that back foot and lets it rip, it's poetry in motion. And once the receivers start cleaning up those drops, watch out. Troy Franklin, Lil Jordan Humphrey, and even Jal have all stepped up in moments this season. And while they might not be the biggest names in the league, they're building something together, and that trust between QB and WR core can't be overstated. Troy Franklin especially has shown flashes of being a true WR1, with route running precision that makes defensive backs look silly. And the fact that Sean Payton passed on acquiring a high-cost receiver like Jalen Waddle in favor of sticking with his guys, that message echoed loud through the locker room. We ride with who brought us here. Then there's the backfield. R.J. Harvey, Tyler Batty, and Jal are forming a committee that's far more dangerous than people realize. Harvey's east-west explosiveness and surprising hands have added a new dimension to the offense. If the Broncos can get even a hint of north-south bruising from Batty or Jal, this running game becomes fully balanced. And hey, if the stars align and J.K. Dobbins is healthy by February, that's a wild card no one is ready for. But let's not forget the elephant in the room, the Patriots. Currently sitting at 10-2 with an easier schedule ahead, they're likely to lock up that number 1 seed. But here's what should get every Broncos fan fired up. Patriots Nation doesn't believe in us. They've been calling the Broncos frauds all season. And yet, they've beaten the likes of an injury-ridden Tampa Bay and barely escaped a loss to a backup Bengals QB. They even lost to the Raiders. If there's one narrative Denver needs to crush in the postseason, it's that one. That's why this final stretch matters so much. Every game is an opportunity to sharpen the sword, to cut down the penalties, to refine Bo Nix's consistency. The schedule isn't a walk in the park. Green Bay's defense is legit. The Chiefs always bring their A-game at Arrowhead, and cold weather matchups against the Chargers and Raiders are never easy. But 13-4? That's not just a dream, it's the new expectation. Let's also talk playoffs. The Steelers and Jaguars are ideal first-round opponents, but the road beyond will be filled with elite QB talent. Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, these are the guys you'll have to go through. And when it comes to defenses,